Mafia Pastor, okay? I am half Italian, half Jamaican. That means I'm cutthroat, okay? Like, I will pray for you and walk you out the door at the same time. I have no problem doing that.
Okay, how does being a pastor give you the edge over everyone else?
I think being a pastor gives me the edge because I know people so well. Like, it's what I do day in, day out. Like, I think I've met every kind of person there is, including myself. Like, I feel like I've met every kind of person there is. And like, just understanding the way people think, how easily people are offended, the triggers, that I think people have in common, like when it comes to food and like hangry and being like upset about not being able to eat and not being able to sleep and be comfortable. And so like, I think just being able to relate to people well, like as a pastor, like you're not always feeling the best, but you've got to respond as if you're feeling the best. You don't always want to get up and preach, but you've got to get up and perform. And so I think like that just get to it mentality and that like just, get past it, get over it, or just, I think is like one of the things that gives me an edge. I also don't hold grudges. Like I just don't. I think like my biggest value is forgiveness and just moving on and reconciling. And so like, I think, I don't know, when you're able to just play with a clear heart in that way, I think it just gives you an advantage. And so, yeah. And I'm a super fan. I know the game really, really well, but again, Jeff says it's changing so much. So I don't know. I feel like it gives me an advantage, but who knows? It's a new era.
But also, I am pretty sneaky. Like, I'm pretty smart and I'm pretty quick on my feet. So while I want to gain the trust of my tribe mates, I'm also not concerned about like slitting their throats in the end.
The game is constantly changing, constantly evolving. We don't even know what to expect from season 41. How do you prepare for Survivor?
How do I prepare for Survivor knowing that it's changing?
Yeah, like how did you prepare going into the season, not knowing what to expect?
Mark, I didn't know it was changing. No, I didn't know it was changing. I didn't know it was changing till I saw Jeff day one. And he was like, drop the 4, keep the 1. It's a brand new era.
Survivor 41 is birthing a new era, starting with a much more dangerous 26-day game.
So that means it is a very fast pace. It does force the players to make bigger decisions. So there will be new advantages, and there will be some controversial twists. We're going to be doing things and let the audience in on things in ways we never have before.
That was when I knew that, oh my goodness, I've studied this game and it's now being changed. When I get on it, it's now being changed. And that's hard. That's a hard reality to face. So I said a couple prayers and
let's just see if the Survivor gods and the greatest God is with me in all of this. So
what made you fall in love with Survivor in the first place?
So like I had a pretty rocky childhood. My mom lost me to Child Protective Services when I was really young, and I bounced around from foster care home to foster care home. And, one of the channels that we had was Global TV. And so I would sit in front of the TV and I would watch Survivor, even though like my life was a mess. I, got mixed up in a gang. I got mixed up in a lot of crazy crowds, and I was doing things that, I probably shouldn't have been doing. My parents were not in the picture at that time. And, Survivor, like Probe's message of just like dig deep, like there's more in you than you know, like you can do this, like just really encouraging people and cheering people on from the sidelines as they were competing in the show. Like those messages really stuck with me. And I just felt like, I don't know, fighter energy from that show. And it just carried that with me through life. And eventually got clean and, put myself through college and then grad school and into my doctorate program. And so like Survivor has had really like a really profound impact on my life. So I'm indebted to the show and the series in a huge way.
So what made you want to try out? How did you even think like, yeah, I want to be one of the castaways?
So I've always wanted to play Survivor and actually, I'd always wanted to play Survivor. And about a year and a half ago, I put up on one of my Instagram stories, it's like, one day y'all are going to look up and you're going to see me playing Survivor. I had no idea. Like, I was like, people say this is manifesting, speaking into existence. I'm not sure that that's what I did. But I will say that, like, I saw Jeremy Anderson compete, Natalie, like Ethan, like these like players that were so cool, like just so dope on TV and like just going at it. It just, the series is phenomenal, and I dreamed about playing this show one day. And, my mom passed away in 2017, but before she passed away, she had asked me about it. She said, are you ever going to apply to play that show? We had reconnected by that time. And And I said, I don't know, Mom. She's like, you gotta apply. And it was like maybe the week after that she passed away. And that was one of the last conversations that she and I had, So it really was a big push to put myself out there and to apply. I don't know if I ever would have had I not had this conversation with my mom, but yeah, I'm glad that I applied because I got on and best experience of my life. So
whose game, looking back, 40 seasons of Survivor, whose game did you sort of look at and want to emulate?
Oh, I think okay, so for sure, Kim was a master of relationships. I mean, she went into the game looking for redemption. She had come out of a divorce and went into the game looking for redemption, and she found it. She played masterfully. I think Sandra as well, she was herself through and through. And so I feel like those are kind of my go-to players when I think about, and Ethan. But I also just love Ethan. I have a big crush on Ethan, in a very respectful way, of course, right? But I think those are the players that I want to emulate throughout the season because I just respected them so much. Sandra, because she was herself. Kim, because everyone felt like she was their best friend. And then Ethan was just I think just very, I don't know, warm and loving and friendly. And even though I'm playing a game that can be cutthroat and can be hurtful, a lot of people in the end, we see them, in Survivor walk away, and it's we watch the show and it's just so rough sometimes, right?
Was there any player that you looked at and said, wow, I can't make the same mistake so-and-so made, and I got to be careful not to make the errors they made in this particular season?
I don't know that there was anyone that I thought about like that, but I guess Boston Rob, even though I love Boston Rob, but Boston Rob was so controlling to the point of the buddy system, locking people in, they couldn't go off and walk to the walls because he wanted to make sure people were going to vote the way that he wanted them to vote. And I think that was Winners at War. And so when I saw that, I just I just don't want to be like that. I don't want to be so controlling. I want to run my relationships in such a way that I can leave the room and know that those people have my back, even in a game like Survivor, which is what I think, that's what makes someone a master of relationships and a master of communication and just being emotionally intelligent and emotionally dialed in.
People will blindside you, people will lie to you, but right alongside of loyalty, I value forgiveness more.
Chantel, what was your strategy going into Survivor 41?
Yeah, and my strategy going into Survivor 41, I guess when I could get the fear out of the way and all the nerves and anxiety out of the way, was honestly, Shan, build relationships. Get to know the people that you're, that are on your tribe. Get to know the people that you're around, understand them, listen to their stories, listen to their heart, really, really listen. Because when people feel they're heard and that their reactions and their stories being mirrored as you're hearing them, there's a trust bond that's there.
I think the best players are who they are in the game, who they are in real life. And so I think what I'm going to bring to the game is just the offer of authentic relationship, which is a big value when you're playing Survivor and you can't trust anybody.
That's the tool in my toolbox that a lot of people would look at and go, oh, that's easy, that's cheap talk, everybody does that. But no, not everybody can do that, right? We see a lot of people in politics and in the media that say that they're someone and they're not. And so I think trust is a huge commodity when you're playing a game like Survivor. And that was my strategy going in, was just hone in on the trust, build relationships, really build relationships. And in that way, when it's all said and done, you have those friendships that are still intact, hopefully.
People at home, armchair players, they're always like, why doesn't someone do this? Why didn't they do that? And I'm sure in your previous life as a fan, you probably did the same thing. But once you're in it, does that all go out the window?
Yeah, I mean, there's yes, 1,000,000%, because you're in the game, and at that point, you can only do what you're, and I'm sure there's gonna be moments, right, where even I'll be like, why did I do this, or why did I do that, or why didn't I do this? But I think yeah, they're for sure. But when you're in it, you're in it, and you don't realize how meaningful these connections that you're making are, and the relationship that you're building. You don't realize how intense they become, and so. Yeah, I'll just say that being in the game and watching the game are two different experiences completely.
I'm not here to prove that I can be a sole survivor. I'm here to prove that I can be a winner. I just want to thrive in this game. Now it's a time to thrive, and now's a time to win. And I feel like I've got enough tools in my toolbox to do it.